The massive view screen in the command center showed the same horrifying image that had been broadcast across every civilized world in the galaxy. Earth burning. Not metaphorically, but literally burning as plasma bombardment turned entire continents into seas of molten rock. General Lyra Voss pressed her palm against her swollen belly, feeling the child within respond to her elevated heartbeat with gentle kicks. "Ma'am, we're receiving surrender broadcasts from the Centauri Defense Fleet," reported Lieutenant Commander Hayes, his voice barely steady. "The Zephyrian Empire has broken through the Outer Rim defenses. They're demanding unconditional surrender from all human colonies." Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the day she'd learned she was pregnant. It had been 3 months ago, right after the Battle of Proxima Station. She'd been so happy, planning to tell Marcus when he returned from his deep space reconnaissance mission. Now Marcus was missing, presumed dead, and she was the highest-ranking human military officer still alive in this sector. The irony wasn't lost on her. Here she stood, 6 months pregnant, commanding the last free human fleet while the greatest empire in galactic history crumbled around them. The Galactic Empire that had stood for 3,000 years was falling apart faster than anyone had believed possible. The Zephyrians hadn't just defeated them, they'd shattered the very concept of galactic unity. "General, incoming priority transmission from Admiral Chen's flagship," announced Communications Officer Park. "Put him through." Admiral Chen's weathered face appeared on the screen, smoke and sparks visible behind him. His ship was clearly taking heavy damage. "Lyra, you need to get your fleet out of there. The Zephyrians aren't just conquering territory, they're systematically exterminating human populations. We've lost contact with New Geneva, Kepler 442b, and the entire Vega system." "What are our options, Admiral?" Lyra asked, though she already knew the answer would be grim. "Run. Take every human ship you can gather and run as far as you can. Find somewhere to rebuild." Chen's image flickered as another explosion rocked his vessel. "The Empire is finished, General. We're witnessing the end of an era. Sir, with respect, running isn't in my nature." Chen actually smiled at that. "I know, Lyra. That's why I'm trusting you with something important." His expression grew serious. "There's a classified research station in the Kepler 1649 system. Project Phoenix. If humanity has any hope of survival, it's there. Get your people to safety, then investigate Phoenix. The authorization codes are..." The transmission cut to static as Chen's flagship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Lyra stood silent for a long moment, processing the loss of another friend and mentor. Around her, the bridge crew waited for orders. These people looked to her for leadership, for hope, for a miracle she wasn't sure she could provide. She was 28 years old, pregnant, and now apparently responsible for preserving what remained of human civilization. "Helm, set course for the rendezvous point at Barnard's Star," she ordered. "Signal all human vessels in the fleet we're evacuating. Send encrypted messages to any human colonies still in communication range. Tell them to gather their civilians and meet us at Barnard's Star within 72 hours. "Ma'am, what about the military installations?" asked Major Williams, her tactical officer. "We're not abandoning them, Major. We're conducting a strategic withdrawal." Lyra moved to the holographic display showing their current position. "The Zephyrians expect us to fight and die gloriously. Instead, we're going to disappear and regroup." As her fleet began to move, Lyra thought about the child growing inside her. This baby would be born into a universe where humanity was scattered and hunted. But maybe, just maybe, that child would also be born into a universe where humans had learned something valuable from their defeat. The next several hours passed in tense coordination as ships from across the sector began arriving at Barnard's Star. Cargo vessels filled with refugees, military ships with skeleton crews, even a few luxury liners that had been converted to transport civilians. It wasn't much, but it was what remained of free humanity in this region. Captain Rodriguez approached her station. "General, we've got approximately 40,000 civilians and 15,000 military personnel across 67 ships. Food supplies will last maybe 6 months if we're careful. And our military capabilities? 3 heavy cruisers, 8 destroyers, and assorted smaller vessels. Against the Zephyrian fleet that's pursuing us, we might last 10 minutes in direct combat." Lyra nodded, having expected as much. "Then we won't engage in direct combat." "At least not yet." She turned to address her senior staff. "Ladies and gentlemen, As of this moment, we are no longer part of the Galactic Empire's military structure. We are survivors, and our mission is to ensure humanity's continued existence. What are your orders, General? Asked Commander Hayes. We're going to do what humans have always done best, Lyra replied, feeling the baby kick again as if in agreement. We're going to adapt, survive, and eventually thrive. But first, we need to reach Project Phoenix and discover what Admiral Chen wanted us to find there. As the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Lyra received an unexpected communication request from Captain Marcus Reeves of the destroyer Defiant. Her heart stopped. Marcus, the man she'd been planning to marry before the war escalated, the father of the child she carried. Lyra. Marcus's familiar voice came through her private comm channel. I just received word about the evacuation. My ship took heavy damage during reconnaissance, but we're operational. Permission to rejoin the fleet? For a moment, Lyra couldn't speak. Relief, joy, and overwhelming emotion crashed over her like a wave. Marcus, I thought you were dead. Not yet, though I've been close a few times. Lyra, there's something I need to tell you when I get back. Something important. Actually, Marcus, Lyra said, making a decision that surprised even her. There's something I need to tell you first. She paused, looking out at the stars that no longer belonged to human civilization. Will you marry me? The comm channel went silent for several heartbeats. Around the bridge, her staff pretended not to listen while obviously hanging on every word. Did you just propose to me over military communications while commanding an evacuation fleet? Marcus finally asked, and she could hear the smile in his voice. I'm pregnant, Marcus. 6 months. And I'm asking the father of my child to marry me as the galaxy burns around us. Another pause. Then yes, General Voss, I will absolutely marry you. Even if we have to hold the ceremony in a cargo bay while running from alien conquerors. Lyra smiled for the first time in days. Good, because we're going to need all the hope we can get for what comes next. The wedding ceremony took place exactly where Marcus had predicted, in the cargo bay of the flagship carrier Endurance. Lyra stood before Captain Rodriguez, who had been ordained as a ship's chaplain years earlier, wearing her dress uniform with modifications to accommodate her growing belly. Marcus stood beside her in his battle-scarred uniform, a bandage still covering a recent injury to his left temple. Around them, representatives from every ship in the fleet had gathered. Children sat on cargo crates while their parents watched the unusual ceremony. It wasn't the wedding either of them had imagined, but given the circumstances, it felt perfect. Do you, Marcus Reeves, take Lyra Voss to be your wife, to stand with her through whatever challenges lie ahead? Captain Rodriguez asked. I do, Marcus replied, squeezing Lyra's hands. And do you, Lyra Voss, take Marcus Reeves to be your husband, to build a future together even as the old world falls apart around you? I do, Lyra said, feeling tears she hadn't expected. Then by the authority vested in me as captain of this vessel, and witnessed by the survivors of humanity's greatest trial, I pronounce you husband and wife. The cargo bay erupted in cheers and applause. For a few minutes, 40,000 refugees forgot they were fleeing for their lives and celebrated something beautiful instead. Later that evening, in Lyra's quarters aboard the Endurance, she and Marcus sat looking at star charts while sharing a meal of military rations. So what exactly is Project Phoenix? Marcus asked, studying the coordinates Admiral Chen had provided. That's what we're going to find out. All I know is that it's classified beyond anything I've ever seen, and Admiral Chen seemed to think it was humanity's last hope. Marcus traced a finger along the proposed route. Kepler 1649 is deep in unexplored space. No major trade routes, no strategic value that anyone knows of. Perfect place to hide something important. Or something dangerous, Lyra added, rubbing her belly as the baby shifted position. I've been thinking about this war, Marcus. About how quickly the Zephyrians defeated the Empire. Their technology isn't that much more advanced than ours, but their tactics are completely different. They fight like they know something we don't. What do you mean? Watch the battle recordings. They don't just attack military targets. They systematically destroy infrastructure, communication networks, anything that helps civilizations function. It's like they've done this before. Many times. Marcus pulled up a holographic display showing recent battle reports. You're right. This isn't conquest, it's extermination, but why? The galaxy is big enough for multiple species. Unless they believe it isn't, Lyra said quietly. What if the Zephyrians see this as a zero-sum game? What if they've learned that allowing other advanced civilizations to exist eventually leads to conflict? Before Marcus could respond, their comm system activated. General Voss to the bridge, priority alert. They rushed to the bridge to find the crew in a state of controlled panic. Commander Hayes turned to meet them. Ma'am, we've received a transmission from the Kepler 1649 system. It's automated, but it's definitely human in origin. Put it through. A holographic figure appeared, a middle-aged woman in a lab coat with tired eyes and graying hair. This is Dr. Sarah Chen, Director of Project Phoenix. If you're receiving this message, it means the Empire has fallen and Admiral Chen has activated the emergency protocols. Please proceed to coordinate 1649 Alpha 7 immediately. Time is running out. The message repeated twice more, then cut off. Dr. Chen, Marcus murmured. Any relation to Admiral Chen? His daughter, Lyra realized. He sent us to find his daughter. The journey to Kepler 1649 took 18 hours through hyperspace. When they emerged, they found something none of them had expected. A massive space station hidden in the shadow of a gas giant's moon. The station was easily 5 kilometers long and appeared to be running on minimal power. That's no research facility, commented Major Williams. That's a fortress. General, we're receiving a transmission from the station, reported Communications Officer Park. Dr. Sarah Chen appeared on the main screen, this time live rather than recorded. She looked exhausted and much older than in the previous message. General Voss, I presume. My father spoke of you often. Please dock your command ship immediately. We need to talk and we don't have much time. An hour later, Lyra and Marcus stood in Dr. Chen's laboratory aboard the Phoenix station. The facility was unlike anything they'd ever seen. Banks of quantum computers hummed alongside equipment that seemed to blend technology with something else entirely. Project Phoenix, Dr. Chen began without preamble, was established 30 years ago when long-range sensors detected the first signs of Zephyrian expansion in distant galaxies. We've been preparing for this war since before you were born, General. Preparing how? Lyra asked. Dr. Chen led them to a massive viewing window overlooking the station's central bay. Below them, thousands of cylindrical pods were arranged in perfect rows, each one glowing with soft blue light. We've been growing an army, she said simply. Not just soldiers, but an entire civilization. Enhanced humans designed to be faster, stronger, and smarter than baseline humanity. Each pod contains a fully mature human in suspended animation, complete with implanted knowledge and skills. Marcus stared at the pods in shock. You're talking about artificial people. I'm talking about humanity's children, Dr. Chen corrected firmly. Every person in those pods was grown from human genetic material, enhanced with the best traits from our species' entire history. They have the tactical genius of Alexander the Great, the scientific curiosity of Einstein, the courage of every hero who ever lived. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. How many? 1 million ready for activation. Another 5 million in various stages of development. And the knowledge to create billions more if necessary. This is insane, Marcus breathed. You're talking about replacing humanity with designer copies. I'm talking about ensuring humanity survives, Dr. Chen snapped. The Zephyrians have done this before, General Voss. We found evidence of at least 6 other galaxies they've completely sterilized. They're not just conquering territory. They're eliminating competition for resources that won't become scarce for millions of years. Lyra walked closer to the viewing window, studying the pods below. Each one contained a human form, peaceful in artificial sleep. What do you need from us, Doctor? Authorization to begin activation. And leadership. These enhanced humans will need someone to guide them. Someone with real combat experience. My father recommended you specifically. Dr. Chen, Lyra said slowly. I'm 6 months pregnant with a natural human child. Are you asking me to choose between my baby and these artificial people? I'm asking you to choose between certain extinction and possible survival. Your child can grow up alongside the enhanced humans. They can learn from each other. Marcus stepped up beside his wife. What's the timeline? The Zephyrians will find this system within weeks. We need to activate the first wave immediately and begin evacuation procedures. The enhanced humans can be awakened in batches and integrated with your existing fleet. Lyra looked at her husband, then back at the pods containing humanity's potential future. Show me their specifications. I want to know exactly what we're talking about before I make this decision. Dr. Chen smiled for the first time since they'd arrived. I was hoping you'd say that, General. Because there's something else you need to know about Project Phoenix. Something that might change everything about how we fight this war. Dr. Chen led them deeper into the Phoenix station, past laboratories filled with equipment that seemed to hum with barely contained energy. They entered a restricted section where armed guards nodded respectfully to the doctor. The corridors here were different, older, with walls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. What I'm about to show you, Dr. Chen said as they walked, has been classified beyond even my father's clearance level. Only 5 people in the galaxy knew about this project's true scope. They stopped before a massive vault door that required both biometric and quantum key authentication. When it opened, they found themselves in a chamber that defied physics. The walls curved impossibly, and in the center sat a device that looked like it had been grown rather than built. "My God," Marcus whispered. "What is that thing?" "We call it the Nexus," Dr. Chen replied. "It's based on technology we found in the ruins of the predecessor civilization. The same civilization that left behind the hyperspace technology the Galactic Empire was built on." Lyra approached the device carefully. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Organic curves blended with crystalline structures that pulsed with inner light. The predecessors have been extinct for 50,000 years. That's what we thought, but we were wrong about the extinction part. Dr. Chen activated a holographic display. The predecessors didn't die out, General. They transcended, became something beyond physical existence, and they left behind tools for species they deemed worthy. The hologram showed star maps spanning multiple galaxies, with markers indicating dead zones where entire civilizations had once thrived. The Zephyrians aren't the first species to attempt galactic cleansing. This cycle has repeated dozens of times over millions of years. Aggressive species expand, eliminate competitors, then eventually face something that destroys them in turn. "Are you saying the predecessors are still out there?" Marcus asked. "Not exactly, but their technology is, and it recognizes patterns." Dr. Chen touched the Nexus and it responded by brightening. "The enhanced humans in those pods aren't just stronger and smarter versions of us. They're designed to interface with predecessor technology, to inherit tools that could make us capable of defending not just ourselves but other species as well." Lyra felt the baby kick strongly, as if responding to the energy in the room. "What kind of tools?" "Ships that can phase between dimensions. Weapons that manipulate gravity and time. Defensive systems that can protect entire star systems." Dr. Chen's eyes gleamed with possibilities. But most importantly, communication networks that span multiple galaxies instantly. We wouldn't just be running from the Zephyrians, we'd be coordinating with other species across the universe who are fighting the same battle. Marcus studied the star maps. "How do we know the enhanced humans can actually use this technology?" "Because I've tested it," came a new voice from behind them. They turned to see a young man entering the chamber. He looked completely human, but there was something different about his eyes. They held depth that suggested experiences far beyond his apparent age. "General Voss." "Captain Reeves, meet test subject Alpha 1, the first successfully enhanced human, awakened 6 months ago for preliminary trials. Please call me Adam," the young man said with a smile. "And congratulations on your wedding. I watched the ceremony through the station's internal feeds. It was beautiful." Lyra found herself studying Adam carefully. "You've been conscious for 6 months?" "Yes, ma'am. Dr. Chen has been teaching me about current events and running compatibility tests with the Nexus." Adam approached the device and placed his hand on its surface. Immediately, the entire chamber filled with soft light, and holographic displays appeared showing real-time data from across the galaxy. "The Zephyrian fleet is approximately 2 weeks away from this system," Adam reported, his voice taking on an oddly mechanical quality, while interfaced with the device. "However, I've detected something interesting. They're not alone." The holographic display shifted to show a different part of space, where massive ships unlike anything they'd seen before were engaged in battle with Zephyrian forces. "The Keth Mori," Dr. Chen explained, "a species from the Andromeda galaxy. They've been fighting the Zephyrians for over 1,000 years. They're winning," Marcus observed, watching the alien ships tear through Zephyrian formations with ease. Adam nodded, still connected to the Nexus. "The Cathamori have learned to use predecessor technology, but they're pacifists by nature. They defend but don't pursue. The Zephyrians simply retreat, regroup and attack from different directions." "What does this mean for us?" Lyra asked. It means we have potential allies, Dr. Chen said. But only if we can prove we're worthy of predecessor technology. The enhanced humans are our key to that proof. Lyra looked at Adam, then at the pods visible through the chamber's viewing port. How many of the enhanced humans have you awakened? Just me so far. The process is delicate, and we needed to understand the psychological effects before proceeding with mass activation. And those effects are? Adam smiled, but there was something sad in his expression. I remember things that never happened to me. Knowledge from the genetic donors, but also impressions of lives that might have been. It's like carrying the dreams of 1,000 ancestors. Marcus stepped closer to the Nexus. Can this thing really contact other galaxies? Observe, Adam said, and suddenly the chamber filled with alien voices speaking in languages none of them recognized. Then one voice cut through the others, speaking in perfect English. Unknown humans of the Milky Way galaxy, this is Commander Vethshal of the Kethmori Defense Fleet. We have been monitoring your communications through predecessor networks. Your species shows promise. Lyra stepped forward. This is General Lyra Voss commanding the human evacuation fleet. Commander Vethshal, we could use assistance. Assistance must be earned. General Voss, the predecessor technology only responds to species that demonstrate both the capability and the moral character to use it responsibly. We have watched your people's war with interest. What kind of demonstration do you require? There was a pause before the alien commander responded. The Zephyrians are planning something beyond simple conquest. Our intelligence suggests they are searching for the location of the predecessor vault, a repository of technology that could allow them to sterilize entire galactic clusters simultaneously. Stop them from finding it, and we will provide assistance. Fail, and your species will face extinction within the year. The communication ended, leaving them in silence. Well, Marcus said finally. That's comforting. Dr. Chen turned to Lyra. General, I need your authorization to begin mass activation of the enhanced humans. We have perhaps a week before the Zephyrians arrive, and we need time to integrate them with your fleet. Lyra placed both hands on her swollen belly, feeling the baby's movements. This child would be born into a universe of enhanced humans and alien allies, where the line between natural and artificial had been permanently blurred. Dr. Chen, she said finally, begin the activation process, but I want volunteers from my existing crew to work alongside the enhanced humans as they wake up. We're going to need both kinds of humanity for what's coming. Understood, General. As alarms began sounding throughout the station to signal the beginning of the activation sequence, Lyra looked at Adam. What's it like? Being enhanced? Adam considered the question carefully. It's like being more yourself than you ever thought possible, while also being connected to something much larger. I can process information faster, react quicker, think more clearly. But I still feel human emotions, still care about human values. And the predecessor technology, it feels like coming home to a place I've never been, Adam said softly. Like the universe has been waiting for us to be ready. Outside the chamber, the first pods were beginning to open, and humanity's enhanced children were taking their first breaths. In 2 weeks, they would face an enemy that had destroyed civilizations across multiple galaxies. But for the first time since Earth had burned, Lyra felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. The awakening of 10,000 enhanced humans happened faster than anyone had expected. Within 72 hours, the Phoenix station buzzed with activity as the new arrivals learned to coordinate with Lyra's existing fleet. The enhanced humans were remarkable. They absorbed tactical briefings in minutes, mastered complex equipment in hours, and displayed an intuitive understanding of military strategy that impressed even veteran officers. But they were also unsettling. They moved with perfect efficiency, communicated in abbreviated phrases that somehow conveyed complete thoughts, and seemed to share an invisible network of understanding. When one learned something, others appeared to know it immediately. It's like watching a hive mind with individual personalities, Marcus observed as they watched enhanced soldiers training alongside regular humans in the station's combat simulators. Not a hive mind, corrected Dr. Chen, who had been monitoring the integration process. They're networked through quantum resonance fields in their enhanced neural structures. They can share information instantly, but they still make individual decisions. Lyra studied the tactical displays showing their combined fleet. How are they performing in integration exercises? Beyond expectations, reported Major Williams. The enhanced humans adapt to work with our existing crews seamlessly. It's like they understand not just what we're thinking, but what we're feeling. Adam appeared beside them, moving with the unsettling quietness that all the enhanced humans seem to possess. General, we've completed analysis of the Zephyrian advance fleet. They'll arrive in this system in 8 days, but there's something you need to see. He led them to the Nexus chamber, where several other enhanced humans were interfaced with the device. The chamber now hummed with constant activity as data flowed between the predecessor technology and its new operators. Show her what we found. Eve, Adam said to one of the enhanced humans connected to the system. Eve was a woman who appeared to be in her 20s, with silver eyes that glowed faintly when she accessed the Nexus. General Voss, the Zephyrians aren't just coming to destroy us, they're following a signal. The holographic display shifted to show a map of the local star systems. A pulsing red line indicated a transmission path that led directly to Phoenix Station. What kind of signal? Lyra asked. The activation of the enhanced humans triggered a quantum resonance that propagates across hyperspace, Eve explained. The predecessor technology automatically sends out identification signals when new species attempt to interface with it. The Zephyrians have learned to track these signals. Marcus leaned forward. Are you saying they know about the predecessor technology? More than that, Adam said grimly. Analysis of their ship configurations suggests they've encountered it before. Multiple times. The Zephyrians aren't just conquering civilizations, they're specifically hunting down species that show potential for predecessor integration. Dr. Chen paled. That would explain their expansion pattern. They're not random conquerors. They're systematically eliminating potential competitors for cosmic inheritance. So by awakening the enhanced humans, we've painted a target on ourselves, Lyra concluded. Yes, Eve said. But we've also gained access to capabilities the Zephyrians have never faced from a newly contacted species, she gestured. And the holographic display showed detailed schematics of ships unlike anything in the human fleet. The designs were elegant, flowing, and incorporated technology that seemed to blend physics with something beyond current understanding. Predecessor ship designs, Adam explained. The Nexus has provided construction templates and the enhanced humans can build them using available materials. But there's a problem. There always is, Marcus muttered. The ships require crews that can interface directly with predecessor technology. Regular humans can't operate them effectively. Lyra felt a familiar tension building in her shoulders. How many ships can we build with our current resources? 12 frigates and 3 cruisers, Eve reported. Enough to equip our most experienced enhanced human crews, but not enough to outfit the entire fleet. What about defensive capabilities for the regular ships? We can upgrade their shields and weapons with predecessor enhancements, but the most advanced systems require neural interface compatibility. Dr. Chen stepped forward. General, there is another option. The enhancement process can be applied to volunteers from your existing crew. It's risky, but absolutely not, Lyra interrupted. I won't ask my people to undergo unknown genetic modification in the middle of a crisis. With respect, ma'am, came a new voice from the chamber entrance. Lieutenant Commander Hayes stood there with a group of senior officers from the fleet. Some of us would like that choice. Lyra turned to face them. Hayes, what are you doing here? Volunteering, General. We've been watching the enhanced humans work, and we understand what's at stake. If there's a way to give us the capabilities we need to protect our families, we want to try it. Behind Hayes stood Captain Rodriguez, Major Williams, and a dozen other officers she'd served with for years. Good people, brave people, who were willing to risk everything for a chance to save their civilization. The process has a 30% mortality rate for adult subjects, Dr. Chen admitted quietly, and even if it succeeds, the psychological integration can be traumatic. What's the mortality rate if we lose this war? Captain Rodriguez asked bluntly. Because from where I'm standing, those look like pretty good odds. Lyra felt the baby shift position, reminding her of the life growing inside her. I need time to think about this. General, Adam said, his eyes glowing as he accessed real-time data through the Nexus. We may not have time. The Zephyrian advanced scout ships have entered the outer system. They know we're here. The chamber's displays shifted to show 3 massive vessels emerging from hyperspace at the system's edge. They were unlike anything in the Zephyrian fleet they'd encountered before. Larger, more heavily armed, and emanating energy signatures that made the station's sensors fluctuate wildly. Those aren't normal Zephyrian ships, Marcus observed. No, Eve said, her expression growing troubled. According to predecessor records, those are Harvester-class vessels. They're specifically designed to locate and destroy predecessor technology before new species can fully integrate with it. How long until they reach us? 36 hours at their current speed. Lyra looked around the chamber at the faces watching her. Enhanced humans with their unsettling perfection, her veteran officers ready to risk transformation, and her husband who would support whatever decision she made. The weight of humanity's future pressed down on her like a physical force. Dr. Chen, begin the volunteer enhancement process immediately. Hayes, Rodriguez, Williams, you're authorized to undergo the procedure if you're certain. Everyone else, start construction of those predecessor ships. And if the volunteers don't survive the enhancement? Marcus asked quietly. Then we fight with what we have, Lyra replied, placing her hand on her belly. This baby deserves a universe where humans have a fighting chance. As alarms began sounding throughout the station, and construction crews rushed to begin building humanity's first predecessor-enhanced fleet, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that they were crossing a line they could never uncross. Win or lose, humanity would never be quite the same again. Adam approached her as the chamber emptied. General, there's something else. The Nexus has detected another signal from the Kethmori fleet. Commander Vethshal wants to speak with you again. Put him through. The alien commander's voice filled the chamber. General Voss, we have observed the Zephyrian Harvester deployment. This represents a significant escalation. Commander, we could use some assistance here. Assistance is coming, but not in the way you might expect. The Kethmori Council has made a decision. If your species can survive the Harvester attack using predecessor technology, we will provide you with something unprecedented. The location of the Zephyrian home galaxy. The implications hit Lyra like a physical blow. You're offering us the chance to take the war to them. We are offering you the chance to end this cycle permanently. But first you must prove that humanity can be trusted with that level of power. Survive the next 36 hours, General Voss. The fate of multiple galaxies may depend on it. The enhancement process claimed Lieutenant Commander Hayes first. Lyra stood in the medical bay watching as Dr. Chen tried desperately to stabilize his vital signs, but the genetic modifications had triggered massive organ failure. Hayes died quietly, with dignity, his last words being instructions for his replacement to take care of his crew. Captain Rodriguez survived the process, emerging after 18 hours with silver-flecked eyes and movements that carried the same unsettling precision as the other enhanced humans. Major Williams made it through as well, though the psychological integration left him quiet and distant for several hours as his mind adapted to new capabilities. Of the 12 volunteers, 4 died, 3 survived with full enhancement, and 5 achieved partial integration, gaining some enhanced capabilities while retaining completely human neural patterns. It wasn't the success rate Dr. Chen had hoped for, but it gave them enough enhanced officers to properly crew the new predecessor ships. How are you feeling, Rodriguez? Lyra asked as her former logistics coordinator tested his new abilities in the ship construction bay. Different, he replied, his voice carrying new harmonics. I can perceive quantum probability fluctuations and process information at approximately 15 times my previous rate. But I still remember why I chose to serve under your command, General. The enhancement doesn't change our core loyalties. Around them, the construction of humanity's first predecessor fleet proceeded at impossible speed. The enhanced humans worked with tools that seemed to respond to thought as much as physical manipulation, shaping materials at the molecular level to create ships that were as much art as engineering. The finished vessels were beautiful and terrifying. They curved like living things, their hulls shifting between opacity and transparency as internal systems came online. The weapons were integrated so seamlessly that the ships appeared unarmed until the moment they chose to fire. Status report, Lyra called as she walked through the construction bay. Adam looked up from where he was calibrating a ship's neural interface. 3 cruisers complete and fully operational. 11 frigates ready for deployment. The remaining ship will be finished in 6 hours. Will it be enough? The predecessor ships are far more capable than anything the Zephyrians have encountered from a newly contacted species, Eve reported. But the harvester vessels carry technology specifically designed to counter predecessor advantages. It will depend on how well our crews can integrate with the ship's consciousness. The ships have consciousness. All predecessor technology is semi-sentient, Adam explained. The ships are partners, not tools. They'll fight alongside us, but they require trust and understanding from their crews. Marcus approached carrying a data pad with fleet deployment plans. Lyra, we need to discuss strategy. The harvester ships are moving faster than expected. They'll be in weapon range in 14 hours. They moved to the command center, where holographic displays showed the approaching enemy. The 3 harvester vessels had been joined by a larger fleet, dozens, of standard Zephyrian ships that dwarfed the human evacuation fleet. Total enemy count, 47 vessels, reported the station's tactical officer. Our combined fleet stands at 67 ships, but only 15 are equipped with predecessor enhancements. What about our civilian ships? Lyra asked. We've been transferring non-essential personnel to the fastest transports, Marcus replied. If this battle goes badly, at least some humans will escape to continue the species. Dr. Chen entered the command center, her face grim. General, we've received additional data from the Nexus. The harvesters aren't just here to destroy us. They're conducting what the predecessor records call a potential assessment. Meaning what? They're testing whether humanity deserves complete extinction or can be allowed to survive as a subordinate species. Our performance in this battle will determine how the Zephyrians treat future human populations. Lyra felt a cold anger building in her chest. They're judging us. It gets worse, Dr. Chen continued. If we perform too well, if we demonstrate too much potential with predecessor technology, they'll call in additional fleets to ensure our complete annihilation. So we need to win, but not win too decisively, Marcus summarized. We need to thread the needle between surrender and total victory. No, Lyra said firmly. We're not playing their games. We're going to hit them so hard they'll never consider humans an acceptable risk again. Adam looked up from his interface with the station systems. General, that strategy carries significant risks. If we demonstrate full predecessor integration capabilities, the Zephyrian response could involve planet-killing weapons deployed against every human world they can locate. Then we make sure they can't deploy those weapons, Lyra replied. Eve, can the Nexus contact the Kethmori fleet? Yes, but they've made it clear they won't intervene directly until we prove ourselves. I'm not asking for intervention. I'm asking for information. Specifically, I want to know where the Zephyrian command ship is located and how their fleet communication network operates. Eve's eyes glowed as she accessed the alien network. After several minutes, she looked up with surprise. General, the Kethmori have provided detailed intelligence on Zephyrian command structures. The information includes weak points in their communication grid and tactical doctrine. They want us to succeed, Marcus realized. More than that, Adam added, studying the data flowing through the Nexus. They're providing us with information that could allow us to capture, rather than destroy, key Zephyrian vessels. Intelligence assets. Lyra smiled for the first time in days. Now we're getting somewhere. New plan. We're going to give the Zephyrians exactly what they're not expecting. We're going to capture their harvesters and turn their own assessment protocols against them. She turned to address the enhanced humans working throughout the command center. I need crew assignments for a precision operation. We're not just going to win this battle. We're going to send a message to every Zephyrian fleet in the galaxy. What message? Asked Rodriguez. That humanity doesn't just adapt to survive, Lyra said, feeling the baby kick as if in agreement. We adapt to thrive. And we're done being prey. The next 12 hours passed in frantic preparation. The enhanced humans worked with the predecessor ships to develop tactics that had never been attempted before. Regular human crews trained alongside artificial intelligences that existed in quantum superposition until the moment of combat. Lyra spent the time visiting with the civilian families preparing for evacuation, trying to provide reassurance while wrestling with her own fears. In quiet moments, she found herself talking to the baby growing inside her, promising that their child would inherit a universe where humans were no longer refugees. General, came Adam's voice over the comm system. The Harvester fleet has entered our defense perimeter. All ships report ready for deployment. Lyra took her position on the bridge of the flagship Endurance, now enhanced with predecessor technology that made the ship feel alive around her. Through the neural interface, she could sense the other ships in the fleet, their crews' emotions, and the alien consciousness of the predecessor vessels. All ships, this is General Voss, she broadcast. Today we're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting for the right to exist as equals in this universe. Enhanced and regular humans, artificial intelligences, and organic consciousness. We stand together. The view screen showed the approaching Zephyrian fleet, their ships arranged in formations that radiated cold efficiency. At their center, the 3 harvester vessels moved like predators stalking prey. Enemy fleet now in weapon range, reported the tactical officer. Begin Operation Inheritance, Lyra commanded. All units execute your assignments. Show them what humanity becomes when we stop running and start fighting back. The first predecessor ship to engage was the cruiser Ascendant, crewed entirely by enhanced humans. It moved unlike anything in space, phasing between dimensions. To avoid enemy fire while its weapons reached across impossible distances to strike with surgical precision. But it was the combined tactics that truly shocked the Zephyrian fleet. Regular human ships coordinated with enhanced vessels and predecessor technology in ways that created emergent capabilities none of them possessed alone. The battle became a symphony of different types of consciousness working in perfect harmony. And in the center of it all, General Lyra Voss commanded not just with tactical skill, but with the understanding that they were fighting for more than survival. They were fighting for the right to define what humanity could become. The battle lasted exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes. When it ended, 2 of the 3 harvester ships had been captured intact, their crews disabled by precision strikes that the Zephyrians had never encountered before. The 3rd harvester had been destroyed when its crew attempted to activate a self-destruct device that would have taken half the human fleet with it. More importantly, the Zephyrian support fleet had been systematically dismantled using tactics that combined human unpredictability with enhanced precision and predecessor technology. Not a single human ship had been lost, though several regular vessels bore scars from encounters with weapons that bent the laws of physics. Final tally, reported Major Williams from his position aboard the captured harvester Inevitability. 47 enemy ships, 39 captured, 8 destroyed. We have approximately 12,000 Zephyrian prisoners and access to their complete military database. Lyra stood on the bridge of the Endurance, watching as the captured ships were secured by mixed crews of regular and enhanced humans. The predecessor vessels moved between the prizes like guardians, their semi-sentient nature allowing them to interface directly with alien technology. General, came Adam's voice through the comm system, the Nexus has established communication with the Kethmori fleet. Commander Vethshal is requesting immediate conference. Put him through. The bridge filled with the alien commander's voice. But this time there was something different in his tone, something that might have been respect. General Voss, the Kethmori Council has observed your performance. You have exceeded all expectations for a species in its first encounter with predecessor technology. Thank you, Commander. We're ready to discuss the next phase of operations. There will be no next phase, General. There will be a fundamental change in how this war is conducted. Holographic displays activated around the bridge, showing star maps that spanned multiple galaxies. Red markers indicated Zephyrian-controlled territory, blue showed Kethmori space, and now green markers appeared to represent human-influenced regions. The Galactic Cooperation Council has voted to grant humanity immediate membership with full technological access rights. You are no longer refugees, General Voss. You are our newest allies in a war that spans multiple realities. Marcus stepped up beside Lyra. What does that mean, practically speaking? It means, came a new voice, that the Zephyrian expansion ends here. They turned to see a figure materializing on the bridge, not through transportation technology, but through what appeared to be controlled materialization. The being was humanoid but clearly alien, with features that seemed to shift slightly when observed directly. I am Architect Nereth, representing the predecessor remnant. We have watched your species with great interest, General Voss. You're a predecessor? Lyra asked, struggling to process the revelation. What your people call predecessors are merely the physical phase of our existence. We transcended material form millennia ago, but we maintained interest in species that show potential for cosmic responsibility. Dr. Chen stepped forward from where she'd been monitoring the enhancement integration. The technology we've been using, it was a test. All predecessor technology is a test, Architect Nereth confirmed. The Zephyrians failed this test long ago. They use our abandoned tools to destroy rather than create. Your species has chosen differently. What happens now? Lyra asked. Now you help us end the Zephyrian threat permanently. But first you must understand the true scope of what you're facing. The holographic displays shifted to show not just galaxies, but entire galactic clusters. The scale was incomprehensible. Billions of stars, trillions of worlds, countless civilizations. The Zephyrians control approximately 30% of inhabited space across multiple galactic clusters. They have been expanding for over 1 million years, systematically eliminating species that show potential for transcendence. Why? Marcus asked. Because they fear obsolescence. They correctly understand that transcendent species eventually develop capabilities that make traditional conquest impossible. Rather than evolve, they choose to prevent others from evolving. Lyra felt the baby kick strongly, as if responding to the cosmic scope of the conversation. What do you need from us? Leadership, Architect Nereth replied simply. The Kethmori are powerful but pacifistic. Other allied species have advanced technology but lack strategic thinking. Humanity offers something unique, the ability to coordinate diverse capabilities into effective action. You want us to command a multi-galactic alliance? We want you to coordinate the final phase of a war that began before your species developed language. The Zephyrians have been contained until now, but recent intelligence suggests they're developing technology that could allow them to transcend physical limitations while retaining their destructive nature. Adam interfaced with the Nexus and looked up with alarm. The captured Zephyrian databases contain references to something called the final synthesis. They're trying to achieve predecessor-level capabilities while maintaining their aggressive expansion protocols. If they succeed, Architect Nereth continued, they will become capable of destroying entire realities, not just civilizations. This cannot be permitted. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. They'd thought they were fighting for human survival, but they were actually participating in a battle for the survival of existence itself. What are our capabilities? Lyra asked, feeling the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on her shoulders. Extensive, Commander Vethshal's voice replied. The Alliance fleet includes 3 million ships from 47 species across 12 galaxies. Predecessor technology will be shared with all Alliance members, and humanity will serve as strategic coordinators for the entire force. General, Dr. Chen said quietly, are we ready for this level of responsibility? Lyra looked around the bridge at the faces watching her. Enhanced humans with their silver eyes, regular humans with their determined expressions, and alien allies whose very existence challenged everything she'd thought she knew about the universe. 6 months ago, I was planning a simple military career and a quiet family life, she said, placing both hands on her swollen belly. Now I'm married, pregnant, commanding enhanced humans, and being offered leadership of a multi-galactic alliance against an enemy that threatens the fundamental nature of reality. She paused, feeling the baby's strong kicks. But you know what? Humans have always been good at adapting to impossible circumstances. Yes, we're ready, because the alternative is unacceptable. Excellent, Architect Nereth said, beginning to fade. Coordination protocols are being downloaded to your enhanced crew now. The Alliance fleet will begin assembly in the Kepler 1649 system within 1 standard week. Wait, Lyra called. Will we see you again? When this war is over, General Voss, your species will be invited to join us in the next phase of existence. But that choice will be yours to make. Until then, fight well. As the predecessor remnant disappeared, Commander Vethshal's voice filled the bridge once more. General Voss, the Kethmori fleet will arrive in your system tomorrow. We look forward to serving under human strategic coordination. Lyra looked at Marcus, who smiled and took her hand. So, he said, how do you plan to explain to our child that Mommy accidentally became the military coordinator for a multi-galactic alliance before they were born? Very carefully, Lyra replied, watching as ships from dozens of species began emerging from hyperspace around Phoenix Station. And with lots of help from their extended family. She looked out at the vast fleet assembling under human coordination. Ships from civilizations they'd never imagined. Technologies that defied physics and enhanced humans who represented the next phase of their species' evolution. The Galactic Empire had fallen, but from its ashes something far greater was being born, and at its heart stood a pregnant general, who had learned that sometimes the most human thing you could do was become something more than human. the baby kicked again, as if eager to be born into this strange new universe where humanity had finally found its place among the stars.